Good evening to one and all present here for the fourth season of Chrysalis. As you know, Chrysalis has become a significant event that has become well regarded among young researchers and academicians. It is organized by the PG and Research Department of English in collaboration with IQAC, St. Aloysius College, Elthuruthu. We hold this event in fond remembrance of our cherished teachers, Reverend Father Anthony Kuttikat CMI, Dr. Denya Menon, Professor Paul Davis. It is a tribute to their dedication to academic achievement and commitment in shaping inquisitive mindset among young researchers. Am I audible?
Yes, Sridhya, you are.
Today marks
Please
the
continue.
second lecture of the fourth season of Chrysalis. And we are honored to have with us Dr. Anej Somraj, Assistant Professor and Research Guide in the Department of English at Christian is also the Associate Editor for Journal of Technology, published by ELTI India. As the head of the curriculum, NSQF and accreditation, as sub Kerala 2021-23, Dr. Anej has designed, developed, and aligned numerous courses with the National Skills Qualification Framework. With international teaching experience, having worked in the Faculty of Education, Misrata University, Libya, and as spoken language consultant at King Saud University, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Dr. Anej is engaged in reimagining the Indian higher education scenario. Today, sharing insights and expertise on the topic acquisition of transferable skills through research in critical humanities accreditation. We are also delighted to have such prominent
Excuse
gathering
me,
of
just a moment. Just a moment, excuse me. Somebody has switched on the audio. I think it is Sai Turiya. And that means the voice is not that very clear. Yeah, now it's okay, please. Thank you very much. Still.
Okay, we are also delighted to have such prominent researchers and academicians, including Professor Chacko, the distinguished chairperson of this session. He is an eminent scholar in economics. Formerly, he was the HOD of economics at SH College, Chalakudi. He has also served as reader at UGC Academic Staff College, University of Calicut. He is a research supervisor in the Department of Economics at the University of Calicut. Moreover, we are happy to introduce him as our principal, the principal of St. Aloysius College, Elthuruthu. His passion for research is inspirational, and we gratefully acknowledge his remarkable support to our research center and all its activities. And also a heartfelt welcome to all scholars and participants who have joined us today. I hope let this be a journey of learning and discovery for every one of us. Now I call upon our esteemed researcher, Dr. Betsy Polsey, whose passion for research inspires us all for the formal welcome speech. Ma'am, please.
Research Center in English of St. Aloysius is dedicated to the vision of making itself a premier research center of the nation and organizes various programs towards that target. We organize national and international conferences and workshops to mold ourselves into a learning community and to disseminate knowledge for the benefit of humanity. We also insist on kindling the joy and excitement of learning in ourselves and in all those who engage with us. Chrysalis is a product of that vision and mission. It is a commemorative lecture series that looks into the past with gratitude and towards the future with hope. It is an open forum for unprejudiced discussion on academic discoveries and their social, political, and academic implications. Today, we are fortunate to have with us two distinguished scholars. The chairperson of today's session, Professor Chacko P., and the presenter, Dr.Anej Somraj. For the regular participants of Chrysalis, Dr. Chacko is a familiar figure. Though his domain in economics and his position of being the principal of a prestigious institution like ours make a huge demand of his time, he used to be an encouraging presence in almost all our sessions. And since this platform of ours is of a semi formal nature, we never proffered a formal welcome to him unless on special sessions, like the first session of the year. This time, I am glad to welcome him formally here as a chairperson of this session, to which we have invited him not for his administrative position as our principal, but for his academic stand in as an erudite scholar who has made notable contributions to his domain. Welcome, warm welcome, Professor Chacko P.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Dr. Anej Somraj, who is the Assistant Professor and Research Guide, Department of English, Christian College, Chenganur, who is making the presentation today, is another renowned figure, even outside his domain of literature. His international exposure and editorial and curriculum related experience can give us insights that are beyond a normal talk on literature. And when I shared the brochure, I found that many of his colleagues and many of his friends around the place being very excited about him and talking about him as being an erudite scholar, etc. And I felt all the more glad that I could choose you as a speaker here. Uh, since we are going to listen to him now, I'm not elaborating on his skills, but will just register my appreciation to him for accepting our invitation and joining us, taking time from his other lucrative assignments. Hearty welcome to our research platform, the platform of the Research Center in English of St. Aloysius College.
Thank you very much,
Dr.
Dr. Dipti.
I would like to register here the Research Center's gratitude to the management, especially to the manager, Reverend Father Thomas Chakramakil, CMI, and the college administrator, Reverend Father Arun Jo, CMI, for the boundless support which has sustained us so far. And Father Arun Jose is here, so I welcome him. And Reverend Father Thomas Chakramakal too might have been here, but he has a very uh, important function today. I welcome you very warmly to this session, Reverend Father Arun Jose K, CMI. I also welcome our research scholars who are behind this whole session, and every little detail I taken care of them. The work of managing this Google Meet, the sharing of the brochures, everything has been managed by them very carefully and with great dedication. I welcome Sudhi and Atulya for hosting and managing this Google Meet and also the YouTube channel. And we are also trying a sort of a live channel. Let's hope that it will work. And I welcome Hridya for anchoring this session, Nima, who is in charge of the certificates, and I welcome all the other research scholars too who are behind this. Moreover, I welcome all of you who are here, who have gathered here, and it is your passion for learning, your interest in understanding new discoveries in research, and your capacity and your dedication to give your time and energy at this late night session, 7 p.m., when you could have very comfortably sat at home and looked after affairs there. That has made us continue these sessions. Your passion has helped us and enliven our passion. So, welcome you all to St. Aloysius. Welcome you all to this session of Chrysalis. Welcome. Thank you. Now, I would like to invite Professor Chacko to chair the session.
Thank you, Professor Betsy Paul, the Research Director of St. Aloysius College. The presenter of this evening, Dr.Anej Somraj, other faculty members and research scholars who have joined this event, and other friends who have joined for this evening lecture, Chrysalis, which we organize, which in fact our research center is organizing for the past many weeks, or rather 1 or 2 years. So today the topic on the table is one that has generated a lot of discussion recently. It looks how research in critical humanities equips students or scholars with valuable transferable skills. So, as you know, research activities develop key transferable skills such as critical thinking, which enables the evaluation of data and arguments. Effective communication is honed through writing reports and presenting findings clearly and effectively. Project management skills, including planning and organization, are essential for managing complex research projects. Additionally, research deepens our analytical skills, helping us draw meaningful conclusions from data. Analytical skills like data analysis are crucial for interpreting results accurately, which helps us to make effective predictions. Adaptability is fostered by adjusting methods and approaches in response to new challenges and findings. Critical humanities employs interdisciplinary approaches to uncover underlying assumptions and power dynamics. This research aims to foster a more nurtured and equitable understanding of human experiences and cultural predictions, or rather a better understanding of human experiences in interaction with the cultural ecosystem. Interdisciplinary collaborations occurs when people from different disciplines work together to complete a project. That happens in many of the researches that are being taken by research scholars in our research center and also in other research centers in Kerala and across the world. What makes it unique is that it moves away from isolated work and emphasizes a collaborative process from inception to completion. Each team member brings their distinct method and ideas, which is especially valuable when academic works are transferred into the real world. And in fact, it's interesting to note that now many universities and career advisors, interestingly, emphasize the importance of transferable skills like communication, teamwork, and problem solving. These are certainly crucial in today's job market. But we should also think how these specific skills are developed through research in critical humanities. So today we will be taking a critical look at this question. We will explore the limitations and challenges that are there in the field of research in critical humanities, and we will see how these unique strengths offer in fostering a different kind of intellectual toolkits. By the end of today's lecture and the discussions, I'm sure we all will be having a better understanding of the transferable skills developed through critical humanities research and why they might be even more valuable than we think now. So whether you are a faculty member or a researcher or a student or someone who casually listening to this talk, I'm sure this lecture will enrich our experience of understanding this topic that is emerging. So today we have Dr.Anej Somraj, Assistant Professor and Research Guide, Department of English, Christian College, Chenganur, who will speak on the topic acquisition of transferable skills through research in critical humanities, a critic. So I invite Dr. Anej Somraj for his presentation.
Thank you very much, Professor Chacko, for the very kind words. And I hope that we would be able to explore a little bit about what research skill sets we acquire and how this can be transformed into the general life that we have. Thank you very much. And I would like to extend my thanks to all the different members of the audience who have gathered today. And I'll just start with my beginnings at SN College, Kollam, where I did my graduation. So after my 3 years of graduation, I had a realization that you could really do 3 years of graduation without really reading any literary text in its original. So as a suburban rural area college, this was the best that they had at that point of time. But things left a little bit of vacuum. I realized that at the end of it, there was something that was missing. I really felt the need for a challenge. And that's when I applied for the MA program at the English and Foreign Language University. Coming from a rural college in Kerala, joining a place like the English Foreign Language University was quite a challenge, even to the part where being able to speak in English proved a challenge for me, coming from a rural background. But it was all very exciting. It gave a lot of opportunity and a lot of challenges. That's where I felt the need to really be able to connect what we learn in a classroom or beyond, and to be able to use that in the real world. After my MPhil over there at the FLU, I realized that there's nothing like a demarcation between literature and ELT and others. Because during FLU days, we always had a tradition of gathering in the cafeteria, where every evening there were widespread discussions. And every research scholar or an MA student would come there, share their ideas. So in one of such discussions, there was a point raised by Professor Venkat Reddy, who was then a scholar there, that there is no demarcation really between disciplines. It's all about what we make of them. So just with to prove a point, and as a part of a bet, I decided to apply as a curriculum designer with the Kirloskar Institute of Management Studies. Now, this is the first time I was trying to design a program, a course for business communication for uh, MBA students. Now, until then, I was purely in literature. Even my PhD later on was in literature. But I was just able to think in terms of how I could make my skill sets that I learned through my research flexible or beneficial to them. So I sent the proposal. I made an analysis based on what I could collect from different sources. I sent a proposal, and the program was designed in a way that it would only focus on those who wanted to get into the family business or family-run businesses, which are quite a few in the country. That gave me an opportunity to understand what really goes into a boardroom meeting. How does it really that you would convey different aspects, and how we need a finish even in cases like how do we represent or present sad news. It was quite a challenge to be able to design a curriculum which would address all these different kinds of requirements. But it was really an exciting one. Though tiring, it was very exciting to be able to work with people to solve problems. I think that became the source of every single work I took up from there about solving problems, helping people solve problems. And the next challenge I had was actually working for an overseas client, namely Saudi Arabia's leading company, the Saudi Aramco, where I had an opportunity to design tests which were uniform so that they could be administered to 10,000 students, and we still had to maintain the consistency and provide the skill sets required for taking up higher studies in US and other countries. So this was the academic part. But I soon realized that academics has little meaning unless it can solve problems of people. So once I joined the Christian College Chenganur as a assistant professor in English, I decided that the burning question for many in Kerala and today in India is about employability. It's the question about having spent 3 to 5 years studying literature or English, where do we go next? So this particular problem bugged me quite a bit. And one of my students once asked me, what are we as an academic institution giving back to the place that we're located? That struck a chord. I had no answers for that. I could not answer why is it that we are not contributing to that. So I decided to approach the problem about employability and what we could do as an institution at Christian College in Chenganur. Chenganur is a small town which is in Alappuzha district in Kerala, and we are not in this place which has got plenty of industries, but there are still industries. In fact, for me to identify the place as an industry itself took me some time. So I realized that in Kerala, you do not have heavy industries, but you had several other areas where there was industries functioning. So the first industry that I had a chance to work with was actually the healthcare industry. Now, as all of you would probably be aware, we in Kerala have a large number of medical personnel who are educated, trained, and we today have with great pride, we supply the medical manpower to many countries in the world. And many of them are highly renowned for their expertise. But does that industry have a problem? We were trying to address that problem in Chenganur. As a department, we were trying to see how we could bring employability for the English graduates, as well as trying to see if we could address any concerns that these industry would have. So I decided to go for a research, and the first thing was actually going and spending time at different hospitals, trying to understand what could be a problem that they are facing as an industry. So I soon realized that in many industries there were problems like in terms of the customer care. We found hospitals having various challenges in terms of dealing with customers. So you had different stakeholders in a hospital, starting with the patient, the bystanders, the hot doctors, the paramedical, and the other staffs which are there. So the problem seemed to occur in terms of the various conflicts that would come up, which would soon escalate into clashes. Some of these things would get out of hand. Before you know it, it's on social media, and things were out of hand. So it all raised the question whether something could be done about that. So I decided to approach the director of a hospital in Chenganur and ask them a single question. Do you have a problem dealing with customers? Can we help you with that? Now, he was perplexed because as a director of a medical institution, he wasn't sure what an arts and science college faculty was doing there. And he asked me as such. So I said that actually we could possibly, as an institution, provide solutions. So they gave us an opportunity, and I spent time talking to different stakeholders. So from doctors to the parking attendants, I spent time trying to understand what are the problems that go on. So it gave us some interesting facts, like the first 5 minutes that you would spend in entering a hospital, that would determine to a large extent your impression about that place. And it also brought up raising questions on what we understand in terms of a hospital. Now, the idea that most people had about hospital was it's a place where people go when they are sick. It's only associated with sickness and pain and suffering. And it so seemed that the public who were coming there, they also had a similar idea, but they wanted something different. So after talking to all the stakeholders, I realized that what was needed was a change of perspective. So I designed a program where we could actually cater to all the requirements, at the same time, provide a better solution. So instead of a hospital, we proposed the idea that as a department, we could help them to transition from a hospital, a place of sickness and pain, to a place of wellness. How a wellness supported by excellent care can make a difference. To bring this philosophy, we gave a new proposition. Instead of the parking attendants directing the traffic, we decided to make them ambassadors because they were the first people whom any customer would meet in a hospital. We provided a training program where we gave them life skills on how to welcome a visitor for the first time. Instead of saying, park the car there, you started with saying, good evening, good morning, how are you doing? May I help you with something? So this training could not be given by faculty members because we realized that we couldn't teach them because you had a huge range of the profile in terms of their learning. So it was decided not to teach them anything, but to give them a sensitization program. So with the help of my students, we designed a program where the students would use skits, drama, plays, and other role plays, for example, to really give a chance for these stakeholders in a hospital to actually understand a customer better. We wanted to replicate the experience that a person had in a jeweler's or in a resort, replicated in a hospital. So we designed the programs around that. For the paramedical staff, we helped them. Like, for example, the receptionists, we were helping them to redesign their approach to a customer, like asking a customer how they were and trying to know them better. We worked with the nurses to actually help them to write better reports so that their documentation would help them to give better ideas and also to actually ensure that they are out of medical legal issues. We even worked with the doctors who suggested that if we could provide support in terms of prevention of diseases, in terms of education. So one of the things they said was that the patient waiting time is very high. And during that time, patients get upset, they get irritated. So they spend 5 to 10 minutes with the doctor, but they may have to spend 2 or 3 hours waiting. So they asked if we could do something about that. And what we did was, as my students and I, the MA students, we spent time to understand what is there in prevention. So we realized that not enough time was spent to prevent lifestyle diseases. So with the help of excellent doctors, we were able to get wise counsel on what methods in lifestyle diseases could be brought, how we could change lifestyle. And during the waiting time, we, with the support of the management of the hospital, we redesigned the waiting areas. We painted them in different colors, gave them a chance to sit, and most importantly, our students were there as great listeners. As we've been teaching about listening skills, I'm sure all of us talk about listening skills and its importance, but it's a great thing to actually make people feel wanted. It makes people feel connected. It makes people feel that they are taken care of. So the training was for actually students who were trained to listen to the patients who came there, to understand their needs, and also to give them suggestions on preventing lifestyle diseases. So at the end of the 3-year program, which we ran in 2 hospitals, as a department, we were able to get a support from the management of these hospitals saying that their occupancy had improved. They had many patients who were repeat patients, and overall, we were able to find that it made people happier, and they felt that they were able to do something better with their lives. So this was their initial effort. After that, we had a chance to work with another sector in Kerala, which is very prominent and is rapidly making strides. That is the banking and finance sector. The banking and finance sector actually has extensive operations throughout Kerala. And you'll see that in any interior area, you'll find banks. But these banks also have problems. So as a part of reaching out to identifying industries, I happened to visit several banks and trying to understand their problems. So they said that they still have a peculiar challenge in Kerala, where the geriatric population is very high. The senior citizens are way higher. As many of you will be familiar, in Kerala, we have the life expectancy is very high, and we have a large geriatric population. So this is a good thing as far as the economy is concerned, that the life expectancy is very high. But for a bank working in this area, it could be a challenge. The problem that they said was that they found that the people in that particular age group would prefer to actually physically be at the bank to carry out transactions like drawing 100 rupees, depositing 2,000 rupees, which put a severe constraint on those banks which did not have enough manpower to run it. So they had a problem on hand. So their challenge was how to bring digital banking to a larger crowd. And that's where we decided to help them. We found that the instruction manuals that were there on the websites, the facilities that was provided, did not sync. The information on how to use an ATM card, now that seems very easy for most of us, and but for a 70-year-old, it is a challenge. So how do we bring credibility into that? How do we make them convinced that the net banking or an ATM transaction is safe? So what we did there was, we had students sitting down with the not just the English department, but also with the Malayalam department. And together, the modus operandi of these ATMs and others were taken down. They were simplified. We tried to use a kind of a simple paradigm that no instruction should be more than 10 words. and the instructions need to be as simple as possible. So we need different vocabulary sets and for that. And then these were again translated in the regional languages. We use Malayalam, where all these were translated. We made different booklets, and these booklets were made available to the members of the community. And as our outreach, the students reached out to various households. We invited the um, senior members of these households to the campus, where these ATM machines were brought in. I mean, the dummies were brought in, and the entire process was carried out. And we tried to educate them on that. So for us, the part was that we were able to give students a chance to understand how something like a word list or editing of could actually be used as a life skill. Later on, the MSME sector was known to progress quite well, and you had various confectionaries operating in that region. So you'll see that in Kerala, the confectionaries, especially under the MSME, they function quite well, and they do great business. Some of them, they start with maybe a limited number of products, but they soon have grown enough to become exporters. Even they do have problems. Now, but on talking to them, we realized that there are several problems like how to train people to deal with customers. So they had outlets, maybe there are 20 to 30 outlets at that point of time. And this confectionery started way back, it's almost 60 years old. And they started in a very small way. And today they had almost 70 outlets in Kerala and also in several countries. They export to these countries, but they have a major problem in how to train their staff to deal with the customers. One proposition was given was actually to train them in cross-cultural communication. If you have a staff who have to move to, they work for some years and then they have to move to the Gulf countries where it's an Arab culture. So they need to know how to behave, how to communicate, how to be functional in that. So the model was to help them with a word list, which was just limited to 2,000 words, so that they get a chance to learn quickly and be functional very easily. There was a lot of focus on proxemics. Focus was on how we have to interact when we have to deal with people from different cultures in terms of the different countries and so on. What do we? For example, a very interesting thing was like in an Arab culture, you are never expected to say no. A customer will never say no, and as a service provider, you can't say no either. So it is all a part about making them feel the need to be sensitive to cultural differences. So the program actually gave a chance for them to understand and be a part of the changes that could come in terms of the cross-cultural communication networks that come up. The last project I had a chance to work with was when I came across a particular newspaper article, which was about something that happened in the Cochin International Airport. Now, Cochin Airport happens to be one of the largest airports in Kerala in terms of the passengers and the number of flights and so on. Now, it started with a newspaper article saying that there is a conflict or a dispute that came up, and the customs officers were blamed for not being polite enough, not being sensitive enough, and so on. Now, that set me thinking, is there a problem there? Is it something that can be solved? Because if you look at the situation in Kerala, you have a very large expatriate population, and the customs and the others, they perform great duties, and there's an enormous amount of pressure. So I happened to investigate it further, had a chance to talk with several officers, and I realized that there is a need there, that maybe there is a solution that could be provided. Because the problem seems not to be the fact that there was a lack of information or a lack of inputs, but it was all about the connect between people. The human interface that I think was something that could be helped with. So I decided to approach them with a proposal to actually help them with this changing of their image perception. How do you do that? The complaint in the newspaper was that they behaved rudely and they were never sensitive enough to that. So I decided to actually go to the National Academy of Central Excise and Narcotics and Customs in Kerala. And I put a proposition that a training could be done so that we can bring about a change in the way the two stakeholders look at one another. So the idea was actually, instead of looking at the passengers as suspects or as those who may be guilty of something, instead of actually to see them as customers. So I remember the first meeting with the customs officers, many of them who were superintendents and inspectors. I raised the question before them: is there a difference between a customer and the passenger? They said, no, we don't have customers. We only have passengers and suspects and probable cases and so on. So the paradigm I suggested was actually to see them as customers, so that the experience of traveling and the passing through the customs check could be something as enjoyable and pleasant, where instead of just making it through regulatory checks, it could be about presenting the country in a better way. How these officers could be ambassadors of the Indian tourism industry. We try to work with them to bring about a shift in the way they looked at people. And we also try to suggest that there could be a change in the way the public would see them. And that was more in terms of actually ensuring that they got a chance to know what is done. The project is currently ongoing, I'm still working on how to work the modalities of that. But it's quite a challenge with the number of airports that are there. But we started something, and we hope to maybe with the assistance of NASM, maybe we could work with some of them and eventually help that transition, so that the experience of any particular sector could be different. I would just like to conclude by saying that the most important thing that we have is how we solve problems of the industry. For me, understanding the industry took several years. In fact, it was my sort of obsession with the employability that gave me a chance to know an industry, and through that several industries which are there, and try to find solutions. It all started with one single college conducting its association day, and I was asked to see if I could talk about employability. That's when I really started thinking, on what are the careers opportunities available for English majors. And knowing the industry and working with that gave me a lot of exposure to understanding different needs that are there. These need analyses actually lead to solutions, which actually eventually translate into more jobs. And I think that was this focus on employability, which took me to several colleges where it was all about helping people to realize that there are almost 700 to 800 different jobs available, and still more jobs emerging today, that gave me a chance to work with the additional skill acquisition project of Kerala, the ASAP Kerala, where I was also having a chance to work with industries like even the manufacturing heavy industries like Cochin Shipyard. Now, Cochin Shipyard actually have been expanding in the last few decades, and they have today docks in all over the country, and they have expanded rapidly. But even an industry like Cochin Shipyard has requirements in terms of the rising need for a skilled manpower. Now, India today has one of the largest sources of manpower, but the problem really comes in terms of having skilled manpower. Having numbers is good, but especially having a very young population is good. But the real question is, are they skilled enough? Are they equipped with the right skill sets so that they can be transferred from a classroom or the pedagogical point to actual results on the industrial field or and in real life? So this is just a couple of things that I've been able to work on, and it has given me immense pleasure to work with people, helping them with their solutions, and I am very grateful to my institution, Christian College, for providing all possible support over the years to help me to know how I could transfer the various skill sets I acquired during my research to actually help people and solve problems and eventually make the world slightly better in some little way of my own. And with that, I would like to once again thank the organizers for this wonderful opportunity, and I'm very grateful to the time that you're all given for me to share my thoughts, and I would love to have your questions.
Thank you, Dr.Anej, Somraj, for giving us so many perspectives as to what English graduates and students can expect from the job market, which at times there are situations when we stumble at questions from students who ask what can language study, in what way language study can help them in finding a job other than that of a teaching job. So you really demonstrated how language can be used in finding a job, in applying industrial situations, in solving critical issues at various situations, including that of an airport, that of a hospital, that of financial sector, and so on. So that brings in a lot of hope and good news, especially when we are into the 4-year UG program in Kerala, which is focusing more on such skills, transferable skills, and which we hope will be delivered through the new curriculum. So I think now we can take a couple of questions from our audience. Before we go to the questions, I would like to just raise one question. It's your presentation clearly demonstrated how language can be used as a skill for acquiring job, and as well as in solving the real world issues. So in your experience, how well do traditional transferable skills capture the full range of skills developed through critical humanities? Because there are often we say that there are dangers in framing a humanities education that is solely in terms of skilling. So can you think of examples where critical thinking skills developed in humanities research were more valuable than traditional skills in a specific situation?
Yes, it is a major challenge at some points. when we talk about the conventional ones and especially about the new age careers that come up. But I always felt that sometimes it is these conventional courses and their syllabi which help to build a kind of a stable foundation on which other complexities could be taken up. Um, like when we talked about work, when the work in the hospital, um, we were just using the programs that were you taken up from the listening classrooms. Now we found that many of the students, when they spend time with the customer, the patients as well as the staff, they express their opinion that people love to listen. So is this what listening is about? So that was a realization for many. And as a teacher, I also felt that giving a chance to a student to experience what they have learned in a classroom and to see how it manifests in many ways gives them the confidence that they are also able to contribute their might. And when we think about the new age careers, especially when we talk about the challenges posed by AI and the risk it could pose to teaching jobs and others, I believe that it's the other way around, where one need not be apprehensive about the uh, challenges they throw, but rather the opportunities they come up with. Now, I believe that AI and others would not be taking up jobs, but rather these people who are going to be in these jobs will be replaced by those who know how to use AI tools. I believe that in terms of AI, it should be the humanities that should be leading instead of the science and technology and other disciplines. I believe it's humanities that should be leading the way, because as far as I believe that it's like if you're dealing with languages, you still have to talk about the AI move till it moves from, let's say, to the self-awareness point. It should be able to understand how language functions. Unless and until it is able to master the nuances of language, which I think would still be a big challenge, it would not be able to really function with people. If you are thinking that AI should be given the power to make decisions, it should be also in a position to understand the situations better. It should be able to be sensitive to the nuances of language, which is actually a reflection of how people think. So it will only be possible in that way. I think that these technologies that come up, they are opening up new sectors and they are opening up new careers that come up. And as long as you have people over there and they talk and they communicate, we will definitely need to have more and more people for languages.
Thank you. I think I'll have one more question. That's when you were explaining how it was applied in a hospital situation. So, and you also explained about the influence of AI in today's life. So, bringing all this together in today's globalized, digitalized world, I'm wondering whether critical humanities can contribute to building something like empathy and cultural awareness. Is it possible to build empathy and cultural awareness?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely, absolutely, Prof. Chacko, because I visited several hospitals, and even the leading hospitals in Kerala, specifically, you may have talked to the nursing officers of these 3,000 bed and 5,000 bed hospitals. One common thing that was pointed out was actually that they said that they have people who are exceptionally well qualified, highly experienced, but they found them to be really lacking in empathy. And one of the sensitization programs designed, and unfortunately, it didn't take off. Let me also, at this point, talk about the failures. Whenever I just mentioned about the things that went well, but there were so many others which actually which failed to take off. there are these hit and runs that are there. I mean, there are these hits and flops that keep coming. In many cases, there are many of them. And at one point, the idea was to develop an incubator in colleges. And I think we had even worked on, I think Professor Jalson was there, and we had tried to work on a project to develop an incubator in an arts and science college. An incubator where this was based in Kottayam. And the idea was that there's a very large amount of retail sectors operating, and there's a big requirement of advertisement services. So we were trying to have programs whereby the college would have an incubator where the funding through the government would be provided, and students could be trained in language skills and media design and other areas, so that these institutions could function as a service provider for the industry. Now, there are so many different levels of operators in the retail sector. Not everyone can afford to have a full-time advertising partner, but they all had advertising requirements, and even the panwala or the lemonade seller there, they all have requirements. And if the advertising needs could be provided through an incubator in a college, nothing like that. So we had tried for that, and we worked very long. We sent many proposals, but it didn't take off. But I hope that it doesn't stop there, but it inspires the 4-year program. The FIGP actually opens up a lot of opportunities because there's an internship built as a part of the program. So that actually makes a lot of flexibility in these ventures. So I think that these things would come up in a bigger way. And I believe that the present set of students, they are far more focused on providing acquiring these skill sets and then providing the service. And I think that the altruistic bend of mind in many of these young men and women is quite high. So maybe we will have more such ventures coming up.
Thank you, sir. I think I'll end with one more question. Since you were part of ASAP Kerala and you have trained a large number of either students or teachers, so coming directly to job market, because any student earlier, probably students came to higher education for acquiring knowledge, but now they come directly for acquiring skills, or rather to get an opening to the job market. So I was curious. I'm curious to know how can we better bridge the gap between a humanities education and the career opportunities in a way that leverages the unique strengths of critical humanities. How can we bridge the gap between humanities education and career opportunities in a way that gives leverage to the unique strengths of humanities, critical humanities?
Okay. I believe that it's too early to say that we don't need the conventional system anymore. I think what is needed is a kind of a softening of stance between the traditional ones and the present one. Now, what has happened is that earlier, to build a company, it could take decades. Today, we are thinking about looking at companies looking at an IPO in less than 5 years. So what has changed is the pace at which things are done has changed, and also the expectations have changed. I believe it has something to do with that. Maybe in a couple of generations ago, it was about the sustainability, about how to ensure that you can meet your basic requirements, the roti kapda makan kind of a thing. Then slowly it started focusing on improving the quality of life, and today the talk is about work-life balance, and the talk is about how to retire early and so on. So this has actually brought two sets of things in place. One is that we have systems which have been there for long, and actually it is this conventional system which has built all the things that are there today. So having that conventional one will fortify their ability to be sustainable. At the same time, the skilling part will also have to be brought in so that there's a synchronization between the two. And unless until we are able to sync the two, we will never be able to benefit and move in terms of as a major world power. So it all comes down to being able to identifying our strengths and weaknesses and to see how we can bridge the two. And it is a synergy that is required of the conventional as well as the skill requirements, and then integrating the two. The ventures that I have was likely to take up, they all succeeded because there was a win-win situation. It helped people to find solutions. It was able to capitalize on what they had acquired in the conventional classroom, and eventually, market that as a valuable product. And so it was these factors that become crucial. And in the coming days, these things would be quite an important thing to have.
Thank you, sir. That's all from my end. If there are questions from the participants, you can unmute and ask questions, or you can even type in the chat box.
Good evening, sir. My name is Shruti. I'm a full-time research scholar at St. Aloysius College, and I'm doing research. Good evening. I'm doing research in ALT. So, your experience of finding a niche for language students in different industrial sectors was quite inspiring. Indeed, academics is needed for solving practical problems, and ELT brings tries to bring solutions to practical problems. So it was very helpful for ELT researchers like me. Now, I have a question for you. How English for specific purposes can be used in transferring skills from pedagogical to real-life situations, since it's focused on students' career needs? That's my question, sir.
Yes, I would suggest that whatever we learn in a theoretical point of view, it's fine, and it needs to be connected with the requirements. Many of the times we have all the solutions around, but we never think in terms of the perspective of, let's say, a prospective client. I think more that if we can understand the customer requirements and then think about how flexible it can be in terms of what we have learned pedagogically, and make it simplified, or maybe the whole structure can be redefined so that it becomes useful. Now, when I was working with the confectioners, they realized that they had products which they couldn't sell. One of the reasons that was there was when they were putting up online, they were finding it difficult to bring in the young crowd. The reason was they were just putting pictures. Now, it required a lot of time to several sittings with them to understand where exactly the problem was. So after looking at different portals and the successful models, we realized that people actually buy products not just for the intrinsic value, but for that value it brings to them in terms of how they perceive it. The importance is on how they value it in terms of the difference it makes for them. So that became the eureka moment for me, to think about how the products could be presented better with a story. So they had made several products which had excellent ingredients, very exotic ingredients too. So what we did with them was, the students were trained in AI tools. They got a chance to use the AI tools, and the products were released. The information on different products were released, not just with the pictures, but actually with a story behind it. So, for example, with the Unneka, which is a delicacy in the Malabar part of Kerala, that actually started going with a story. How it came in, how it was designed, who are the people, how did they come, where did the ingredients come from, a story behind it. So that helped them to scale their sales and to reach out a certain young crowd as well as the urban appear crowds and so on. So it's purely ESP where we are talking in terms of the vocabulary that is going to be used. We're talking in terms of the search engine optimization. We will be talking in terms of how the user interface needs to be calibrated and so on. So it's all about trying to, whatever we learn, it's definitely great to have, but we will have to link the two. In many cases, the potential customer may not know that they have a problem. And I mean, they know they have a problem, but they may not know that there's a solution to that problem. So I think as researchers, we have a very big role to play. It's so that we can explain to someone that there are actual solutions to their problems. I think that interface, that medium between the two, that bridge is what researchers could really become. I hope I have answered your questions, Shruti.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, and all the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, sir. Am I audible?
Good evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much.
I am a person who is working with a teacher training college. My students are future teachers. So I would like to get one insight from you. Your class was very excellent. Your lecture was very excellent. It gave another perspective of how English can be used in different areas. Like as Chacko sir said, from wide range of industries, from healthcare to confectioners to customs, and where specifically you said that we are only to test passengers, not as customers. That is what many of us has experienced also like that. Okay, so my one question is, what is the one change that can be brought about in our classroom situations whereby the students or the future teachers who are my students can be made aware about the need for this transferable skills or skills which need to be transferred? Because till now I think we learned all these skills to some extent up to from academic point of view, and more specifically in our traditional classrooms emphasis is given for writing skills more than speaking skills. So what is one change that you can suggest to us so that we can bring about a change in the classrooms?
Sure, I'll try to answer that. When I was doing my CELTA I had actually a real big question. What exactly is there in that? When after my MA and MPhil and PhD from FLU, I believe that there's nothing more to be done. And why a degree like CELTA is put as a prerequisite for anybody who wants to work in these countries. So one factor I could see was actually the way the student or the learner was perceived. In fact, I realized that I had a British trainer who made me realize on the first day that there's a big difference between a student and a learner. I didn't really think of that until that point. Now, it also made me sensitive to the fact that we teachers, when I say that includes me too, we as teachers sometimes take ourselves too seriously. And taking our too seriously, we take on more than what we really should be. I believe that learner autonomy should be provided. And the more we do, it not only reduces the pressure on us to be on the point of being the all-knowing knowledge giver, but instead we can actually ensure that our learners start taking decisions for themselves. They start taking calculated risks. They enjoy making mistakes. I think what you could possibly share with your teacher trainees could be to enjoy making mistakes. to let learners have the freedom to do that. Learning should be fun. Learning should be challenging. It should be satisfying. And for that, I think the best thing is to give them the freedom to make mistakes. I think that's one just thought I would like you to share with your students.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the insight.
Professor Anej, sir.
Hello.
Sir, I am Jason Jose, Assistant Professor in the Organizing Department, that is St. Aloysius College. And I am also a member of the Board of Studies in English, UG Calicut University. So listening to you was both a pleasure and a relief. Pleasure because I love the way you talk directly without cluttering it with a lot of PPTs. Okay, first, I too love doing it without PPTs. And secondly, because it was a relief because we have published our very elaborate syllabus only the other day for the FYUGP. Okay, in Calicut University, and as you know, it was something like a tough task for us because the whole syllabus, including the foundation course, major, minor, it ran up to some 735 pages, and it was a tough work. And the thing is that this time we incorporated a number of courses directly aiming at employability. So many of the major courses that we offered were like English at Workspace, like professional English, even radio joking. So listening to you was a relief because I now I am convinced that after all our efforts in formulating a syllabus slightly different from the traditional one uh, will be paying off probably because you have narrated your success stories, how the employability can be directly achieved through different method of teaching English. So thank you so much for giving me that relief that at least the work of our border studies is not wasteful. Okay, thank you, sir.
It will be fine, sir. You will still have to provide a support in terms of arranging for an interface with the industry. Okay. I believe that industry also needs to be aware that academia is a place or campus are places where solutions that they seek can be found. I think we could probably help our students with getting that exposure. Bringing industries to the campus is a crucial part of the success of the FYGP. Bringing industries to become aware of the need to bring their problems and research to the campus is a big thing. Now, even in languages, I believe that there's a significant amount of possibilities that are there. And many times it's a sad part that, but it's a reality that industry is not aware of what academias can do and how campuses could really help with improving things. In ASAP, one of the things that we could do was actually help industries like Icon, where they realized that they had a particular difficulty in carrying out manufacturing in Kerala, and they were thinking about shifting it to Tamil Nadu. And at that point, we realized that something had to be done. And in ASAP, we got together the principals of various ITIs and asked them if they could do the manufacturing. So, it was, again, people were a little hesitant because they were apprehensive about what it would become. So we would then tell them that it doesn't matter. The important thing is that we try. And several projects were then carried out, experiments were done, and eventually the manufacturing did not go to Tamil Nadu, but it was retained in Kerala. It was done in the ITIs. So the students got a chance to work on these LED walls, and these units, the raw material supplied by the company. It was brought to the ITIs. The faculty and the students participated in the manufacture of that. And this set a good model, which could maybe hopefully be replicated in other places.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I think there's a question from Drishya. Yes, yeah, about the okay. Hello, hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, in between. Right. So it's like the Drishya's question was actually about the problems that I would face. The biggest problem was actually to convince people. There were questions like, "What are you doing here?" I mean, you're in a you teach in an arts and science college. What are you doing here in a hospital, or why are you here? They were quite curious. I mean, initially I was like, why are they so maybe even almost hostile? But then I realized that they had never been approached in this manner. And I'm sure that actually, if we look around the places where our institution is established, we can slowly reach out to these industries, identify them. They need not always be massive ones. They can be even, MSMEs who actually have a very limited clientele, but the services must be really good. See if we can make a difference to their challenges. I think that is something that should be followed up more. Like there should be more dialogues with the industry. Dialogues can actually start by, even like my favorite technique, by giving carpet mails. And I remember like around 130 mails or so, which I had sent to different organizations asking if we could have a collaboration. So mostly the answer was very exciting. The answer was no. So I decided to write to every single rejection email saying, thank you very much for rejecting our request for collaboration. Because somebody had spent time to read our proposal. And I'm sure that someday something would come out of that. And sometimes, they do. I would strongly say that be happy about trying out new things and enjoy the failures that come by. Enjoy the rejections and don't see them as rejections, but see them as like, okay, that's like more work to be done. And it's great fun to try new things. So the challenges we would face first is to convince people, but it's a matter of time and it will be eventually quite fruitful.
Hi, good evening, sir. Myself, Anjali. I'm an assistant professor at Government College, Uruma, which is in Chacko district. So your talk was really inspiring. In fact, I was just wondering how could someone just think of such ideas by integrating or by making an English, making a space for an English teacher in an industry. Like we were just thinking of being like you could be some front office executive or you could be some content writer. Like these were the only opportunities that I could dream of being an English student in an industry. Like only you could do only such things. But after your thought, I was just wondering, oh, you are an amazing son. An amazing person. Could you think of such
I just enjoyed trying these things and I enjoyed failures quite a bit.
Sir, it's like when we were thinking of all these FIUGP syllabus we were revising our curriculum, we were revising our syllabus. The problem with English teachers was, what I understood was, it was really difficult for us to blend English into industry or to blend English into leading to some vocation or something like that. Like, so even after redesigning the curriculum, the whole curriculum, we were just following the traditional method of teaching. We were just following the conventional way of descriptive linguistics. Like we start right from the parts of speech and we ended the same old drama, the writing skills, wherein you ask your students to prepare some reports, you ask your students to make some essay or to draft a resume and all. So your talk, in fact, gave insight into how to redesign our modus operandi instead of focusing on curriculum or instead of blaming the syllabus. We just redesign our modus operandi so as to make our teaching learning process interesting. So as to it leads to some vocation or to enhance the problem solving or critical thinking capabilities of student. Like we were focusing on the theory part of literature or theory part of linguistic for the time being. Like even our practical period was restricted to some in-classroom teaching. Like it were focused on some developing some writing skills. Even we were wondering how to engage the practicum mouse. Now your talk gave us insights how to manage all these practicum mouse and all. So another thing is, I was just wondering this is a place wherein you have a number of migrant workers related to the NH construction and all. And the whole drama on road is between the, is because of the communication gap between the migrant workers and the drivers of our public transport service who think that they are the owners of the road. So how could we use these, or is there any way to implement the tools of critical humanities so as to solve all these problems related with migrant workers?
Okay. Yeah. Day before yesterday, we had I was just having a chat with my first year students who just come in the FIGP. So we were in the cafeteria and having a nice cup of tea. There was a pretty good rain going on. And there's this thing that came up. So, what do we do with things and so on? So they're working on a project now. Tea is very good for generating ideas. So, when you have this thing there, one of the things that came up was in a place like Chenganur Christian College, what do we do there? Now, one an idea that came up was this, that Chenganur is a place which is a hub for all pilgrims who come for Sabrimala. So that's an excellent place where you have a transport hub for religious tourism. Now, religious tourism is going to definitely go up in a big way with the better infrastructure and rails, connectivity, and every other thing coming up, whether it be airports and so on. Now, there again, the problem is in certain areas like last mile connectivity. Even if you are coming with this, you still need some point to reach somewhere. You need an auto rickshaw or a bus to do that. So we decided that we will work with the auto rickshaw drivers and help them to become functional so that they can have a better service for the potential client, the tourists who come there for religious tourism. Now, we realized that we can't actually teach them English because as in Chenganur, we have tourists coming from all states. So for them, there's a major problem is miscommunication. And then the next problem that the students identified was that they are exorbitantly charged by some, they're fleeced by some unscrupulous traders and so on. So it adds to the negative image of the place. So the idea that came up was, why not put it to the tourism ministry that there could be a proposal to train the auto rickshaw drivers with a certain functionality that could be brought in. Like, how do we make them competent to be certified as, let's say, one of the words that came was green autos. So green auto is actually having an auto rickshaw driver who could be not just functional in English, but he also will have the requisite info and support that could be required by any possible tourist, like the list of all the hospitals, the possible tourist attractions, the not so famous attractions in and around the place. It could have about the art and craft of the place. So there is Aramla Kannadi with the Aramla mirrors which are there. Then you have the brass which comes from Manar area and all that. So all these things could be combined. And why not actually just make the person who provides a service as somebody who will be an ambassador for the tourist department, one who would be a gateway for the tourists to improve their experience of tourism and to make that transition as smooth as possible. So one of the things we felt was that the number of words can't be much more, so we will restrict it to 1,000 words. We'll have to think about a service list which can be created. We'll have to think about the structures. Scaffoldings will have to be provided in some ways. So maybe use maybe even a possibility of developing an app where the learning could be done so that recordings can be provided, flipped classrooms could be implemented. Now, all this is actually for an excellent opportunity for the students to learn by doing. That makes a big difference for them. They feel that, that right from the beginning, they are actually working. The learning part will happen and even the studying part will happen. The studying for exams will happen at the end of it. And that will happen because they have a real need. The real need is that they are able to make a difference to a particular driver. He gets more, his family is happier, his children are happy. That is the single thing that the child would keep in his mind. Most of the students that you have in colleges, they would be very, very altruistic. They have great concern for people. They want to help people. And if we can club that desire in them with a kind of a requirement that they can, in terms of service they can provide, they would do it on their own. See, I could get them into a library and start looking at the ELT journal because, I just gave them an idea that this is a possibility. So rest of them, I'm sure they will design. They were actually going after the MA students, asking them what is a service list. So I think just facilitating that, ensuring that we put the idea to them and give them the freedom. That will make a big difference in ensuring that something like the FUGFI, which has great potential, I believe, to be really successful.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
If there are no more questions, I think we can conclude. So, Dr. Anej, what I would like to add as a concluding remark is, in fact, I was a reader at the Academic Staff College of University of Calicut for a short period, where I was on deputation from the college where I was working. So one question that I always asked teachers who come for orientation and refresher courses is, in what way your subject can be used other than for giving lectures in the classroom. So now I have an example to show, and your case is a case study which can be used by other teachers. I'm sure most of our participants got inspired by your session. So once again, I thank you on behalf of St. Aloysius College, and I was really fortunate to be the chair of this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your kind words. I hope I can do some justice to your words.
It was wonderful, Dr. Anej. Thank you so much. And the last time when we spoke over the phone, I was equally impressed. And I was just waiting for the others to be impressed. And now that has happened too. And more than being impressed, you have inspired people to find ways out of the box. And that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing that we teachers and students of literature and all sort of humanities, or rather, all the academia should now think out of the box, because this is a particular juncture where there is a great change going to happen. And that out of the box thinking is being inspired by you. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad that I could invite you and you could come to us too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Betsy, for all the opportunity and the chance to meet so many of you. And it's been a great pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Professor Chacko, for those insightful questions, for the engaging introduction, and also the way in which you negotiated with the whole thing, how the idea was actually put forth, and how the insights insights were given and how you brought in all these insights and highlighted them. Thank you so much.
Thank
I should
you.
also thank the Research and PG Department of English. The members are here who have always been the backbone to our research center. Yeah, there are the comments in the chat box are all so very complimentary. And I am sure that so many others too want to say, and some of them have even commented in my WhatsApp saying that it was a wonderful session and it was really a well done session, good session, and all that. So thank you so much.